You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying to talk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta low. I see myself in the pistol smoke. Fool, I'm the kind of nigga little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Been spending most of my life living in the gangster's paradise. Been spending most of my life living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Look at the situation they got me facing. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the street, so I gotta be down with the hood team. Too much television watching got me chasing dreams. I'm an educated fool with money on my mind. Got my tin in my hand and the gleam in my eye. I'm a low out gangster, set tripping banker, and my homies is down, so don't arouse my anger. Fool, death ain't nothing but a heartbeat away. I'm living life, do or die. What can I say? Tell me, Queen, how will I live to see 20 flows away? Things that's going, I don't know. Tell me, why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? Been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We've been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Power in the money, money in the power. Minute after minute, hour after hour, everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking what's going on in the kitchen. But I don't know what's cooking. They say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can't understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't, I guess they won't, I guess they front. That's why I know my life is out of luck, fool. Been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Tell me, why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? Tell me, why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me?
Hello, Afrikaap listener worldwide. We need your help. It's that time of the year again. The 2025 Telkom Radio Awards South Africa are here. And the Afrikaap Online Radio, AKR, is in the running for the biggest prize of them all, Top SA Radio Station. Your vote is crucial. Every single click on the Telkom Radio Awards page can help us bring home the gold. It's easy. Just go to telkomradioawards.co.za. Find us there and vote for Afrikaap Online Radio. Make your vote for AKR count. Thank you in advance for helping your favorite station.
Give me tonight, 'cause my feet. The Western Cape Blood Services needs blood donors, and we need your help. If you are between the ages of 16 and 75, weigh 50 kilograms or more, you are healthy on the day of donation, and lead a safe sexual lifestyle, we encourage you to download the WCBS app and donate blood. Download the WCBS app on Android and iOS. It will help you find the closest blood donation clinic, sets reminders for donating, and also gives you access to your digital donor card. Download, donate, do good.
Sit jy kantoormeubels vir jou klein besigheid, bestaande onderneming of selfs vir jou home office?
Stukas is die beste tweedehands meubelswinkel in die noordelike voorstede.
Soek ons by 5 Nikkelstraat, Brackenfell Industrial en ontdek ons wye verskeidenheid kantoormeubels. Pas by jou begroting
En behoeftes.
Ons het alles wat jy nodig het om jou werksruimte te verbeter. Volg ons op Facebook by Tukas Facebookpage. Skakel Johan Geising
Slegs by afsprake.
072-444-3401.
Stukas.
Waar kwaliteit, begrotingsbaarheid hand in hand gaan.
This is Afrikaap Radio, playing the music 24/7 in your night.
A wise man once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts." This is Walk to Wellness with Alton Davids, right here on Afrikaap Radio.
All right, good evening and good evening and good evening and good morning. Welcome to another show of Walk to Wellness. My name is Alton. The show is brought to you by All My Sports SA, brought to you live from our Afrikaap Studios in Cape Town. And today is Wacky Wednesday or Legal Wednesday.
Rather Legal Wednesday.
Legal Wednesday, and I'm joined in studio by none other than the Legal Eagle herself. Natasha, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
Good. It's been a minute, as they say, we say.
As we say.
It's been a legal minute for a while.
Yeah, last month.
Sure.
But we actually earlier this month than we normally.
True.
Yeah.
True.
which is
True.
good.
Our cycle has changed.
Yeah. As we enter summer.
Yeah. How's things going with you? What you been up to?
But just lots of work and stuff. But good. All good.
Traveling, I see.
Yes, and you. So I think we finally set the date and we
We here.
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know, Natasha and I have a monthly date where we engage on legal matters and a range of different legal matters. And tonight is no particular difference. Tonight we're going to discuss the justice system.
Yeah. It's a bit of a minefield, but something we need to unpack. I think.
It is. For me, it's foreign because I don't play in the space at all. So it's going to be very interesting and a steep learning curve for me more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think what's important is that we need to make it accessible. Because it's sometimes the only interface that we have is TV, which is not real.
Yep.
And if you, for example, have to go to the police station or X, Y, and Z. But there's so many services that one can access and one should access if you need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go 2 steps back to go 3 steps forward, as usual.
Oh, yes.
So let's try and understand the justice system for me.
Okay.
So for me, the judiciary is made up of judges, magistrates that oversee matters to determine guilt and sentences. Am I understanding that correct?
Yes.
So what's
reading it?
To a degree, but I
Yes.
also want to understand what's the difference between a judge and a magistrate.
Okay, so you have you have different levels of court,
Right.
And a magistrate would oversee a magistrate's court. And you can get district and you can get regional. But a lot of time, the magistrates' court are creatures of statute. So, for example, they can't really make law, they can implement it.
Okay.
And magistrates and judges are legally trained. So they would preside over cases in the magistrates' court. It can be civil court, it can be criminal court. Then a step higher, say, for example, you're not happy with a decision of a magistrate's court. You can always...
Hold on. Let's just try and let's take, before we get there.
Yeah.
I should take a step back for those who are new or not in South Africa, because this is an international and global audience.
Yes.
So I commit a crime.
Yeah.
I get. You go and you lay a case at the police station first and foremost.
Yes.
You get a case number.
Yes.
It then goes the docket, as they call it,
Yeah.
which is a big brown folder. I know little.
The fact that you know that is not worrying, but okay.
No. Disclaimer. I used to work at a place called Bonnytown,
Oh yes, so
which
the
is a
kids
juvenile detention center. Way back then.
But now we try and rehabilitate. But anyway, we'll talk about that.
That was in 1993, 1992.
Oh, okay.
Long time ago.
I won't say how old I was. But anyway.
This brown folder then either goes to a detective who goes to search, process it, and goes to look for me.
Yeah.
The criminal, the alleged criminal at this point.
Alleged, because you're not
perpetrator. No? Is that the word you use?
Yes.
Okay. I then get arrested, and then I go into an awaiting cell.
Yes, and then so then you're in the system, right?
Right.
Now it's not axiomatic that you might get arrested, but say you're now arrested. I mean, it's not axiomatic that you might be kept in jail, right? Depends on the case and so forth, and then you will eventually come before. Then the matter will then go to a prosecutor, right? And a prosecutor is a legally trained person that's aligned with our national prosecuting authority.
And they work for the state.
They work for the state. So their job is to speak on behalf of the state and on behalf of the victim, right?
Okay.
So that they have their day in court or their matter can be dealt with.
Right.
They have what we call dominus litis, and it's a cool sounding word. And I'm against Latin because I think it's exclusive. It's exclusive. So basically, they have the right to see how they're going to proceed.
Okay.
If it's particularly high profile or whatever, it might be a group and it might be discussed or whatever. So say then you can appear and you then say, you know what, I'm now incarcerated, but I want to apply for bail.
Right.
You would then become before a magistrate or whatever, and they would then go through the specific requirements for bail, and you would see if you meet that and if you are let out or if you are remanded, which is kept in prison.
Okay.
Right?
That's the word remanded.
Yeah, remanded. It sounds quite cool. Anyway, then you see, so people oftentimes get really upset because people are let out on bail, and why are they let out on bail, and then there's a lot of outcry. But like most systems, there's lots of steps to it.
Yep.
Now, if it's a criminal matter, what's important? Now, you must remember, especially the people from outside of South Africa, we have quite a mixed system. But we derive a lot of it from Roman Dutch, common law, English, and so forth, like our colonial past, right? And we have a system that is based on precedent, which is essentially a decision, and you can follow it and you build up case law. And for criminal law, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. So obviously the penalties are very high, so the prosecution has to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Whereas in civil, it's on a balance of probabilities. So the duty is less. And, but in civil, you won't have lots of time. You won't have the NTA. It's usually people fighting it out, right?
For some other reason, they disagree.
Yeah, and it's oftentimes a technicality, but neither here nor there. And then you would go through the system. And that's where we get our first port of call for access to justice, right?
Okay.
So it's a good segue here. So whether you're in the High Court or you're in the Magistrates Court, let me just do a bit of a detour.
Yes.
So in the High Court, you have judges, which are also legally trained, but the jurisdiction, which is another big word, or the threshold that they can deal with, the types of matters that they can deal with, is a bit more, I wouldn't say advanced, but it's more than maybe a magistrate.
More intricate.
Intricate, right? And you would oftentimes appeal, which is if you're not happy with the decision of the Magistrates Court, you can then go and you can appeal it to the High Court. The High Court is also not the last portal. There's then the Supreme Court of Appeal.
Okay.
And that used to be the apex court, which is the top court in the land. But because we are a constitutional democracy, the Constitutional Court is the highest court in the land, and they would hear matters either through the appeal process, see if it's a constitutional issue, or you can apply directly to the Constitutional Court. They're not called judges, they're called justices, and it's really based on reconstruction and so forth. But okay, so that's the top court. Now, you are now in the system and you are the alleged perpetrator and you've done X, Y, Z, or allegedly, I love the word allegedly. Please use that because people can sue you.
Yes, okay.
Then you're entitled to a legal representation in terms of our constitution. And the body that is tasked with that is Legal Aid SA, or LASA for short.
Okay.
Right? And they work on a means test. So they would look at your income and so forth and so forth. That's oftentimes like to make sure, that's usually for civil, but if you can't afford a lawyer and you're in a criminal matter, you're entitled to legal representation, and if you can't afford it, it would be Legal Aid SA. If it's a civil matter, they have more discretion based on available resources. Now, if you're a kiddo, particularly, so you're a child a minor under the age of 18,
Yep.
you have to, and there would be another legal justice system, the child justice system, that would apply to you. But essentially, the first segue with access to justice is to know that you have the right to legal representation. So essentially, everybody has the right to have their say in court. And if you're not able to, or it's encouraged, because it's so exclusionary and there's like bowing and your worship and, oh, my lord or my lady, whatever, it's good to have a legally trained person. So you can then apply for legal aid. And oftentimes the presiding officer, who might be a magistrate or judge, will say, you know what, are you able to afford? If not, we'll postpone for you to get legal representation. If you can't afford it, go to Legal Aid SA. Oftentimes they have offices throughout the country, and a lot of times they're attached to major courts as well.
But what would be the caseload? I mean,
It's hectic.
How many people can actually afford a lawyer? Yeah. How long is that process to get approval? And in terms of the means test?
Well, the means test wouldn't. Yes, they would look at it, but you're entitled to legal representation. Right. So oftentimes, like in the criminal sector, you would get the legal aid attorney. But like you said, overworked and overburdened and trying through very trying circumstances to do the best. And I had a stint at legal aid, albeit in the impact litigation unit just for constitutional matters, but I could see how big the caseload is and so forth. And unfortunately, we are a country riddled with crimes, so it's a reality. But everybody has a right to be legally represented. So you have a right to access that. And so that's the first thing that you need to know. You don't have to go it alone.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just park there. If you've just tuned in, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, welcome. You joined live in studio by Natasha, who's taking us on a journey of how the justice system works in South Africa. You're welcome to post your questions in our in-studio WhatsApp line on +270 69 245 9543, or if you're watching on my personal Facebook, my personal Insta, or YouTube, you can post your question there, and I'll push it through to Natasha, and she will, to the best of her legal ability, be able to answer without incriminating herself or putting any issues.
It's that Elton's now adding. I do those.
Absolutely, because you don't know. Someone can ask you a question without, and you give an answer without understanding the context and the rest of this case.
Yeah, exactly.
And people could hold you against you, and they can't.
They can't,
because this is our views.
Yes.
So
okay.
So people can apply for legal aid, which I like the concept, because however other people will say, but why do you want to help a criminal? But he's not a criminal. The person is not a criminal yet. It's an alleged.
And you must prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
So they still have access to the justice
to
prove whether they're right or wrong, however long that process may take.
Yes. And sometimes the wheels of justice do turn very slowly.
So let me ask a crazy question then.
Yeah.
At what point do they determine bail? Number one. And if I'm applying for legal aid and it's going to take 4 months for me to get approval, what happens to me? Do I go to a prison and just sit there and chill?
So waiting trial can be quite long if they do remand you. Remember, and also lots of times the presiding officer won't allow such a long postponement, and even. So legal aid will usually have someone available to come on the record, or to at least say that legal aid is coming on the record. But there are lots of postponements. So, but whether you get bail or not is not based on how long you're going to wait or the situation.
Okay.
It's the nature of the crime, and did you have previous convictions, etc., etc. So that's an independent inquiry that's usually done at the start of the process. Or as you've seen with high profile stuff, it can be done during as well. And then that's kind of like a matter in a matter where they'll determine whether you are able to get remanded, do you have to wear ankle bracelet? Whatever the situations are, do you have house arrest? Do you have to report?
And in your passport and all of those
All
things.
of those things, yes, are your flight risk. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of, it's a determination that will be made based on, and all of this is contained in the Criminal Procedure Act. So they are, which I don't know off by heart, so no one asked me that.
I know snippets thereof.
Yeah, and I did the exam. Anyway, and then that will be determined by that. So, and you also get lawyers that specialize in bail, for example.
Is it?
Yes, they just do bail. Or,
Wow.
Yeah, so
I'm assuming then in the legal space, just like in my space, the sports space, people specialize in certain elements of the law. Because you
Yes.
can't be a generalist. Or you
Yes.
could be.
yeah, you could be, but the law is becoming, it's so nuanced. That yes, you can like a GP, for example, can give a general, but if it needs to, it's always best practice to then get it to a specialist that specializes in it. And also we have advocates and attorneys as well. It's now one thing, but traditionally based on, like, for example, in the Commonwealth countries, solicitors and barristers. So oftentimes you'd work together with, for example, an advocate that's specialized in going and doing pupillage, etc., and they could give you an opinion. Or you'd have a team that helps you. But to answer your question in short, specialization is a thing. Yes.
So based on what you just said, so in the different types of people have different locus standi.
Yeah.
So as an example, I as a lawyer, I can only go to a high court.
Yes, so you can appear. So, for example, if you have 5+ years experience,
Right.
You can make application and you can appear in the High Court because they now trying to stop the split bar because
Okay.
of the split bar.
Yes.
But traditionally, advocates have specialized in doing that litigation and going to court and so forth. But for example, I've just not wanted to act in the High Court for various reasons, but now I have to. So I'm doing my application just so that I can do it. But there's nothing stopping you from it. There's a very concerted effort because the legal profession is still very exclusionary and there's such a lot of divisions and. So to try and create unity and so forth, they said that both attorneys and advocates, for example, can appear in the higher courts.
But what separates does the qualification separate an advocate from a lawyer?
No, so a lawyer is like a generic term.
Yes.
So an attorney and an advocate will both do their law degree, right? Then after you finish your law degree, you might go and do articles, which are usually 2 years, where you work in a law firm and you learn all of that, and then you write your.
Is this what the LLB thing?
Yes, and
Okay.
then or BA, LLB, whatever
Yes.
the qualification.
Okay.
And then you would do 2 years articles.
Right.
Traditionally, you can do one if you do a certain other thing, but 2
Mhm.
years articles. Then you'll write your 4 board exams and then get admitted. I think from next year, speak under correction, it's 6. But
Sure.
they're trying to split up certain things.
Okay.
But neither here nor there. So then, whereas an advocate, oftentimes they practice as attorneys for a while as well because it's good to get a client base, etc., etc. Advocates would then get their degree, do a year's pupillage, and write their exams, and then specialize in like that court procedure and all that.
Okay.
So essentially, we have the same degree.
Yeah.
It's just different routes that you've taken.
Okay.
Also, pupillage traditionally is unpaid, right? So it's a year where you're a pupil, and but they have tried to make inroads to give certain scholarships and bursaries and so forth.
So you give it like a stipend, like an internship kind of
whereas
thing.
your articles used to be unpaid years back, but now you get paid.
That's a good thing.
No, yeah, very much so.
Okay, so now we understand to a degree the justice system, because it's good to give that context when you start talking about how does one access the different elements of justice.
Yeah.
So take us through the concept of access to justice first and foremost.
So I mentioned we have a constitution,
Yeah.
right? And the preamble, which I love very much, says we the people. And essentially it's for everyone.
Mhm.
And access to justice is this noble concept of us being able to access various portals so that if we feel that there's injustice, we can take it into our own hands constructively using the various ways of doing it to be able to get justice.
Right.
And there have been ways to try and facilitate that. But what I've seen in my work is oftentimes people don't know about it. they don't know how it works. So if it's not working or you're not being treated in a particular way, you can't really say if it's right or wrong. And knowledge is so important, because otherwise a lot of stuff are underutilized or not utilized correctly. So that is it. And the access part is to ensure that oftentimes these things are free, right? These services that you access are free, to be able to redress and ensure that doesn't matter what your economic status is, you are able to have your stay in court or access various portals. But the best way to explain it is maybe, Alton, to speak about some of the ways that they've allowed access to justice. Or do you have any pointed questions?
We're going to park it there, give people a chance to digest.
I know, it's a lot, guys. I'm sorry.
So I'm going to give people a chance to digest that. I'm going to play.
Ooh, what?
Take a guess. No. No.
Alton asked me for songs and I only knew one, and I was like, okay, I can give you that.
Patience. It will come. This one's first.
Cool.
Tell me if you know the song.
This is Afrikaap Radio, playing the music 24/7 on your dial.
A wise man once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts." This is Walk to Wellness with Alton David, right here on Afrikaap Radio.
All right, good evening. If you've just tuned in, my name is Alton. This is Walk to Wellness, brought to you by All My Sports SA, and we played Lionel Richie. Was it Lionel Richie?
Yeah, was it Michael Jackson?
Oh, just checking you were listening.
You had me I'm listening to the wrong thing.
Michael Jackson, Smooth Criminal.
And you looked at me like, are you
And that's that. For those of you just tuned in, that's the voice of my co-presenter this evening, Natasha. And it's Legal Beagle's conversation this evening. And we unpacking the process of having access to justice in South Africa. You're welcome to jump onto our in-studio WhatsApp line, +27 069 245 9543. Yeah, give us your comments, give us your questions, but obviously give us a bit of context. Don't just shoot a question without any context, because we need to obviously put it in the context to be able to give you some sort of answer. It's maybe not the best answer that you want, but it's also based on the limited information that we have, will give us an outcome. You can also jump onto my personal Facebook, YouTube, or Insta and give us a question there, and we'll do our best to answer. I am learning quite a bit here tonight. purely because purely because I don't play in the justice space at all, which is not a bad thing.
No, especially because the focus has been on criminal.
Yes.
So I'm glad there. But there's so much more, and there's different interplays that can be outside of that criminal space. For example, in the family space, or if you have someone that owes you money, if somebody says a bad word that affects your equality, there's different things that you can access that is made, and it's there, and it's free of charge, and it's there for you to utilize.
So how different is it now to apartheid in a pre-1994? Has the criminal system changed that would have allowed me access differently between now and then?
That's a very loaded question, because apartheid itself was criminal, but neither here nor there.
We won't get into that
conversation. But for example, I can think of something close to home. There's a whole criminal justice system for children now. It's governed by the Child Justice Act. For example, kids under 18 can't be kept with adults. If you are under 18, they're going to put you in a place of or a rehabilitation center, or you mentioned Bonnie Town, or whatever the situation is. You need to be in prison, for example, before the trial thing goes for the least amount of time. So it's much more. There have been lots of inroads, but essentially we are using similar statutes.
Would you say that it's become more people friendly?
I think
more in embracing more human rights perspective. Let's not call it people friendly.
No, I think it's a foreign concept, obviously. So it's difficult to access, and it shouldn't be. It's more difficult than it should be. But there has been inroads in trying to make it more human rights free.
Okay.
For example, say you are a survivor of rape or of a sexual assault or so forth. Then there might be like a specialized unit that will deal with you. You're supposed to be dealt with in a humane way so that you aren't secondary victimized.
Explain that secondary victimized, because people don't have a clue about that, please.
So that's really important. So say, for example, you already gone through trauma, which is your primary, and then you come and you speak to someone and they were like, but what were you wearing? Or what was your role that you played, etc. And they don't handle you in a way that is victim focused and victim friendly, and that in no way says that the victim's going to be favored. The court of law is still going to play its role, but it's how you are treated oftentimes by the civil servant, be it the police station or the clerk or whatever, needs to be done in a way that's human rights ethos, that's dignity is foregrounded, and so forth. So there's inroads with that. Obviously, we are now bound by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and that is a human rights in itself. So, but as to overcrowding and so forth, it's still apparent. We're still using a lot of the old statutes, which obviously how you interpret it, and there've been amendments and so forth. So there's no easy answer, and I'm sounding like such a lawyer to my question, but there isn't.
I'm just trying to understand how.
For example, there's due process. Apartheid, for example, especially if you were picked up for a terrorism charge, or you were an activist or whatever, you could be held without trial.
Yeah.
You didn't have a right to see, for example, your lawyer. You couldn't make a phone call. Now you have a right to all of that. There's the legal aid that you're entitled to as a criminal. Before, during apartheid, I speak in recollection, but it wasn't for everybody. It was just for particular minorities. So there's lots of inroads in terms of that. But capacity is always a hindrance to effective access, and I think that that's where we need to. So we have brilliant laws. I always say our Constitution is amazing, but our laws, the implementation of that is sometimes lacking. And how one can, as an active citizen, deal with that is to know what your rights are and how you can access the court. And if you don't get satisfaction, I was mentioning to you, for right or for wrong, it's bureaucracy, right? So you can always speak to that person's superior, and you won't know that you're allowed to, that you can do it, or what was wrong if you didn't have that information.
But they don't allow you to do that under normal, because if let me use a different example. People generally don't complain.
Yeah, they don't.
So I'm not going to engage in a space where I'm now having to complain because I'm already kind of on the back foot as an alleged perpetrator. So now I'm coming to a police station, and the constable is saying all these things as you said. So now I'm not going to say, can I speak to the station commander, because you're going to say, like, who are you?
But you must know that you can. And you can complain, and that's a people thing, and that's a balance of powers thing, right? But for example, if there's even IPID, the police, that they look at police cases, and if there's whatever. So whether you do it or not is that balance of powers, but you must know that there is that portal. For example, if people are saying you have to make a statement, you never have to do it in statement if you don't want to, because you can never really change a statement if it goes further. Just little things like that, but knowing your rights. And if you don't want to, engage, you can say, I want to have my phone call. I want a legal representative. I'm not going to speak further until I have a legal representative. And that comes from knowledge and muscle memory.
Yeah.
So for example, I always mention my daughter. Like, I go through it with her. If you ever stopped, what do? I want a lawyer. I want to do that. Like, it's just, we need to become aware of it. But I take your point completely. It's a balance of powers and that sort of situation. But I think the more information you have, the more equipped you are.
And you're right. You walk into a police station and you're already intimidated.
Yeah.
Just the process of getting there.
And the writing, and if you've even had an accident, filling out that form, the way that people might talk to you, it's really difficult.
I went 2 years ago. I went to do research at police stations across the Cape Town and Winelands, right?
Oh, wow, okay.
I went to 45 different police stations.
Sure.
And I had to conduct face-to-face interviews with police officers on post-traumatic stress disorder. What was interesting is when you walk in, you get that sense of you are nobody, because you walk in like, hello, what do you want? That aggressive tone from the person behind the counter. So automatically you're on the back foot. Until they got to know me, because I'd come back a second or third time to the station like, oh, you're the psychology guy. Sit there. I'll go, who's next on your list? I'm like, who's ever's on duty? That's my next person.
Yeah.
You know?
But
because they also have to have that rugged exterior for protection and to recognize their office, I think.
I think so. I also think it's when you put on this, like it's like putting on your clothes.
Yeah.
It's almost like when like lawyers wear their Harry Potter clothes. For those of you that know Harry Potter, and it's hindering years back to colonial days and that, but at least we don't have to wear the wigs. But it's kind of like putting on a suit and getting yourself into that mindset, for right or for wrong. But also we must know that when police are going into the field or who they're dealing with, it's them against a potential criminal. So I think it's sometimes difficult to switch off, and that's why they need to be specially trained, and therefore they have different divisions. But in no way should they be that aggressive. But like you would know from post-traumatic stress, you can't turn it off, right? It just becomes innate in you. But for example, I'm just like Mila calls me a Karen sometimes because when I want to complain. But like I would say, like, no, you're governed by Batu Pele, which is putting people first, which is the motto. And they'd be like, how do you know that? And yes, if you say you're a lawyer, they automatically like kind of nicer to you. Firstly, they don't hardly believe I'm a lawyer. When you're there.
Because you don't walk in with a suitcase and from that perspective.
No, guys.
That trolley bag, that big black satchel.
I never own it, and I'm God help me, I never will. But you see, and it's the more you know, not saying you're going to be arrogant about it, but you're going to be assertive about it.
100%.
And I think that's why we need to unpack access.
Yeah. So now that we understand that we're entitled by virtue of it being enshrined in the new constitution, what are we entitled to?
Well, a right to a fair trial, a right to legal representation, a right to have our dignity enshrined. Access to justice is also in the Constitution. It's vague terms, and making it a reality is oftentimes where the blockage comes. But what I can tell you is that there are services available that you can access. Do they work perfectly? Nothing ever does.
Yep.
Do you need to know about it? I think you do, so that you know that you can access it and you know where it's going wrong. Can it be improved? Obviously. But something simple. So yes, you can interface with it when you come into the criminal sphere, and I hope you never do, but there's those that we've unpacked now. But something simple like you lend your cousin 10,000 rand, right? Now, when you lend somebody money, please put it in a contract, even if you just do it. Like, verbal contracts suck, guys. So just do it. And
Note to self.
No, like, don't ever do a verbal contract. Like, even have a WhatsApp. Like, do that, right? And then the person doesn't pay you.
Right.
You can access the small claims court.
Up to which amount?
20,000.
That's, people don't understand that.
So it's 20,000.
It used to be 35 at one point.
No, 20,000. It used to be 12.
Yeah. Yes, and then someone went for 35, and he got a judgment for 35.
No, but they can't. The jurisdiction is 20. Otherwise, you must set it off. So that's the upper echelons of 20. Otherwise, you must, if you want to claim for the 35, you must go to the magistrate's court, which is a whole other process.
Maybe he used
maybe I'm wrong.
No. Maybe he meant the magistrate's court and thought he was getting the small claims court.
No, the small claims court, to ensure that it's justice between human and human, or person and person, you cannot have a legal representative. So you come before a commissioner, and a commissioner is a legally trained person with 5+ years experience. Right? And you would then be able to say, this is the situation. I lent my cousin 10,000 rand. Here's the contract.
Right.
The cousin will say, like, yes, but I did this job for him, and that should set it off. Whatever the situation,
100%.
They would hear both sides and make a ruling.
So it's not like a physical court; it's like an arbitration almost.
Yeah, it's like in a courtroom, and So, for example, Mitchell's-Plain is at the Mitchell's-Plain court. Khayelitsha is at the Khayelitsha court. The Alexander's actually at our office at ENS.
Is it?
But yeah, it's quite cool. I like that. But yeah, so it's presided by that, and then you can't appeal a small claims court judgment, right?
Okay.
But say they don't pay you that 10,000, you can go to the magistrate's court and do what's like a warrant of attachment, for example, to attach goods. So that's a relatively cost-effective, speedy way if your jurisdiction is 20 or less. So if it's 25 and you want to go to the small claims court, you must cut to 5,000, right? You must say you're not going to claim for that extra 5,000. And that's a decision you will need to make. If you want to go for the full 25, you'd have to go to the magistrate's court in
And
the
then you-
civil section.
And then you need a lawyer for that.
Then it's suggested that you need a lawyer because the processes then become a lot more complex in terms of it. So for the small claims court, you would do a letter of demand, and there's a pro forma or a template on the web, or you can get it at the court.
Yeah.
You do it. You'd send it to them by registered mail. You get a return of service. You take it to the court. They'd issue summons. Boom, get a date. Say you say, right? In the magistrate's court, similar process, but it's just going to be more
Processed.
Yes, that. Sorry. Sometimes
But over and above that, so now we're going to the magistrate's court with this 35,000 rand.
Yes.
Let's stick with this 35,000
Okay.
because the number in my head now, right? My question then is, how long does that matter take before it comes before a judge,
Magistrate.
a magistrate? See, I even got it wrong.
No, okay, presiding officer. Let's be like
yeah,
generic.
yeah.
Right? It depends on the case because you're going to still issue the letter of demand. You give them 14 days, and then there might be correspondence back and forth. Issue summons. You'd have to get it onto the court roll, which might be really long. It's a long time.
Yeah. But now the court roll, who determines that? Because I'm on the roll. Like what roll? No, court roll. Oh, okay. So now how long is this roll? How does this court roll thing work?
So I'm going back to my CA days because I haven't done this forever. So you would go to the
helicopter view.
So basically, the clerk of the court would look at the roll on a particular day and slot you in on a particular day.
So there's cases that have been scheduled as postponements, etc. for a particular day.
New on a particular
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it might be postponed because you might say, I'm still looking for a lawyer, or I want to try and get a pro bono lawyer, or I want to try and get a legal aid lawyer.
So effectively, it's the schedule of the court.
Yes,
the roll is the schedule of the court.
Roll, yes, the schedule of the court.
Plain and simple.
And you will have parties' names, but you'll also have the case number.
Okay.
Yes, and then the 05 or 04 is obviously or 25 or whatever is the year it was instituted and put on the roll.
Okay, here's a question for you. If you find out there's a warrant of arrest for you, charged being fraud, what would the alleged perpetrator need to do?
I go see a lawyer. I would also go and find out a warrant of arrest. Why is there a warrant? You haven't
for fraud.
Okay.
Charge being fraud.
I would say go see a lawyer, and then that person needs to then interface with the police officer, and because you need to find out that were you summoned to go to court, what the situation is. I wouldn't go to the police officer. I wouldn't go to the station.
You might get arrested for that.
You will. There's a warrant of arrest, so you will get
100%.
I'm not saying evade, guys. No, go get a lawyer. Go speak to a lawyer. Let them hear the intricacies of your particular matter, and then make an appointment to go to the police station, so that you say, you didn't know, or whatever the situation is, but you hear what's happening. Like you can't not deal with a warrant of arrest because
100%.
You need to appear.
But you need to understand what it's for.
And they need to say what the charges are, and the best person to be able to advise you would be a lawyer, criminal lawyer specifically. And if you can't afford that lawyer, go to legal aid. Exactly.
Correct. And legal aid through a process represent you in that process.
Yes, or at least they'll represent you and they'll explain it way better.
100%. Yeah. Okay, so that answers that question. If there's any more questions, jump at the WhatsApp line +27069 2459543 on my Facebook, my YouTube, or my Insta. So, Natasha, we've kind of now touched on the court roll. We've spoken a bit about accessing from that perspective. So, we're coming back to this 35,000.
You love this.
I've got this bone.
Yeah.
So with this 35,000, I now go and I need a lawyer to represent me to fight my cousin who's now not paid me the 35,000. The judge is not a specialist. It's Judge Nathan Erasmus. I know that name.
He was a very cool judge, guys. But you're not going to go before. Often in this case, you'll go before magistrate. So the presiding officer will be legally trained, will know the court rules, etc., etc. But yes, you're going to have to access a lawyer if you qualify for pro bono and legal aid. Now you're going civil. So legal aid, they'll do their means test, where they look at your income, property, availability, all of that. Or pro bono will do the same. It's kind of linked to legal aid means test. or you can appoint your own lawyer, and what your lawyer charges you is whatever your lawyer charges you.
More than the 25,000.
So that's my point. Because remember, they're going to like charge you for the consultation. They're going to charge you for every phone call.
What do they call it? It's invoices, posties and pitties.
Yes, posties and pitties, yes. They're going to charge you for every email. They're going to charge you for research. They're going to charge you for drafting. They're going to charge you for issuing. They're going to charge you for waiting time. They're going to charge you
for every single thing they do.
Every single
per
thing.
minute.
I don't charge, thank goodness, but my colleagues obviously do to allow me to do what I do.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a lot. So you're going to have to weigh it up.
I've seen these bills.
And they rack up, guys.
Yeah. I've been party to a few legal matters as a board member, and you get a statement from an attorney. It's pages. It's pages.
And it's
because
all substantiated.
Yes, you can make a phone call for 30 seconds. He's going to charge you.
Yeah.
It's literally, people need to understand that it's not a simple process just picking up a phone and phoning a lawyer.
The thing is that if you don't have to, I'm not saying don't, but like you're going to get charged. Like
100%.
You're gonna charge for every single thing. Like putting the, and also talk to your lawyer beforehand. Like what is the ballpark figure? Is it going to be based on the case? How they're going to bill it for you? Do you need a retainer? So that you don't get a bit of a shock at the end of it.
For sure.
Because it can be.
It becomes quite a big price. So, okay, so we understand the small claims court. We understand legal aid. What's a thing called a traditional court? Explain that to me, please.
I'm not so clued up on it, but it takes into account like African customary law and maybe tribes and having all of that. But I'm not sure how it interfaces in terms of the other courts.
Is it something like Sharia law to a degree? Where you
African customary law and like religious laws, but we wouldn't have a Sharia court in South Africa.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Okay, I'm going to give you a breather. Yeah. I'm going to play a song that I haven't heard in a very long time.
I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. Oh no, oh. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, all around in my own town, they trying to track me down. Yeah. They say they want to bring me in guilty for the killing of a deputy, for the life of a deputy. But I say, oh now, oh, I shot the sheriff, but I swear it wasn't self-defense. Yeah, I said I shot the sheriff, oh Lord, and they say there's a capital offense. Yeah, Sheriff John Brown always hated me. For what? I don't know. Every time I plant a seed, he said kill it before it grows. He said kill them before they grow. And so I leave it in the news. I shot the sheriff. Where was the deputy? I say I shot the sheriff, but I swear it was in self-defense. Yeah. Freedom came my way one day, and I started out of town. Yeah. All of a sudden, I saw Sheriff John Brown aiming to shoot me down. So I shot him down. And I said, me. And what is to be must be. Every day, the public I go well. One day, the bottom of the drop out. One day, the bottom of the drop out. I say, I shot the sheriff. Lord, I didn't shot the deputy. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot no deputy. Yeah. So, yeah.
Real life examples. This is a real life, real cases. Oi, what go you on?
Hey, my name is Jörg von Fischer from Germany, and you're listening to Afrikaap Radio.
A wise man once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts." This is Walk to Wellness with Alton Davids, right here on Afrikaap Radio.
All right, good evening and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Alton. I'm the host of Walk to Wellness, brought to you by All My Sports SA, live from our Cape Town studios. And I'm joined in studio by Natasha Wachit. And we're having a conversation about how one would access the justice system within South Africa. We've taken a step back in the first hour and we've unpacked the principles around justice. We've unpacked the justice system, as it were, in the various different elements from police station all the way up to the apex court, the constitutional court. And now we're going to go and be a bit more practical, Natasha. Yeah. So, because now people kind of understand, we'll never fully understand this process unless we train like you. But now we understand how things operate. Yeah. So let's make it practical. Okay. Let's take an example of you choose.
Okay, let's maybe do rape.
Okay.
Let's go gruesome.
So
somebody has been raped, and the rape is non-consensual. If you're married, for example, there's still marital rape. Consent if you are...
Repeat that quickly, because most people have never heard of this.
Oh, marital rape. Just because you're married doesn't mean you can just have sexual intercourse with someone. There needs to be consent in every single situation. And consent is important, because even if there's been recent judgments now that even if there was consent and by actions and like before... Oh God, these words. Before penetration happens, you need to also ascertain that there's still consent. So consent is a thing, and if you under the influence, for example, you can't consent. So now you've had there's an allegation of rape. You have now been what you need to do is there's certain things that is important for evidence collection, right? So if you are the survivor of a sexual offense, rape, or so forth, the first thing that oftentimes you want to do is you want to bath, right? Or you want to wash, and but don't do that, right? So what you would do is speak to someone that you trust. If there is, go straight to the nearest police station. See if you want to speak to like the FCS unit or the family unit or whoever's on duty. The quicker people see you, the better for evidence collection.
And this is as an adult.
As an adult.
Let's separate the two because it's a slightly different process.
Yes, if there's a child, obviously you'd be represented. It would have to go to, so you're an adult now, right? And if you're a child, you'd be accompanied by your minor. They would also interview never alone with the adult and so forth. But now you go and you go into a safe room. It's oftentimes a very victim-friendly scenario, so it's as cozy as can be. There's also called TCCs or Tutuzela care centers, which are specializing in that. So if you get to go, I would always say if there is a Tutuzela care center and you can get to that, I would do that because people are specially trained for that.
How do people find out where they are? Can you Google it?
You can Google it. Also, your local police station should be able to do that. But the first thing is just Google TCCs, and then you get.
And you've got to report the matter within your own
jurisdiction, right? Or whether it happened or so forth. But let's worry about jurisdiction a bit later. So you go and report it. They can always direct you, right?
So you go to the nearest police station, effectively.
You go and you report it. Please don't wash or don't get rid of any evidence and so forth. And it's horrible because that's the first thing you want to
100%.
do. Like you just want to get it off you. But you need evidence. Right, so then what you'll do is you'll speak to a police station person. If you don't want to be alone, there oftentimes are activists there that will support you or so forth, and then they'll take down your statement. Then you'll go to a doctor, a district surgeon or so forth. They will then take the evidence, fill out is it a J? Something like that. They'll fill out the form. Yes, they'll fill out the form. They'll take the evidence. They will also give you, especially they will give you like birth control if that's the thing, or like the morning after pill thingy,
or an ARV if need be.
Yeah, or like you can ask for that, especially because remember you can't get the person's HIV status, so you can't force someone to disclose their status. So on the side of caution, and obviously the quicker you get that, the better. You can then ask for counselling and so forth, and then you are processed. If you need a place of safety, they can direct you to that as well. There will be shelters and so forth. And then it will go to a detective who would investigate, and then that process would happen where that perpetrator would then be. They would speak to the perpetrator. Remember, it's alleged at this time, so the more evidence, the better. And then that court process will happen with the perpetrator, whether they get bail and how that flows with you also. And if you're not comfortable, for example, with the MPA for whatever reason, you can get people to always come with you, or you can ask lawyers. Oftentimes you do what's called a watching brief. So then it's just an extra set of eyes to make sure that all the processes are followed. I remember doing one watching brief. It was horrific. It was a rape case, but it was just there also to support the victim and to be a go-between between the MPA and oftentimes the victim and the family. So there's that situation, but it's supposed to be very victim-centered. And if at any time you feel that your rights are being violated, we spoke about secondary victimization, please don't keep quiet. You can speak up and say, I didn't like being treated this way. This is what happened. Because you don't want to undergo double trauma. And I would encourage you to ask if there are support services available for psychological or post-traumatic stress and so forth, so that you can start processing in that regard. With regards to bail, I would say that you would need to be as very vocal as possible, or say that if you can, let that bail be contested, because oftentimes you don't want the perpetrator near you, etc., etc. So with a child, you would get your guardian with you. They would access and it gets a bit iffy if both perpetrator and victim are minors. Sometimes that can also happen because then the Child Justice Acts will come into play. But that the major difference is that the child will not be seen without their guardian or a person that a social worker or so forth. And if need be, particularly if it's within the house or so forth, they will be moved to a place of safety.
So Okay. And so now we've unpacked that process.
Yeah.
Question around that is, if the alleged perpetrator is applying for bail,
Yeah.
can the victim apply for a restraining order? If the alleged perpetrator gets bail,
I think
is that even a consideration? I'm just thinking based on what you just said now.
yes.
I as the victim don't want to be seen close or have contact with the alleged perpetrator. Would a restraining order help? So for those who don't know, a restraining order is a order that allows the person not to be within a certain space of your personal space.
And if you violate it, you get arrested.
Correct.
So it's like a paper with teeth.
Mm.
But the conditions of bail will stipulate that you can't come near the victim. So it's essentially the same thing. And if they go against it, they're revoking. They contra their bail, and you can then go to the
I'm
court.
with you. So you don't really need the you're doing double trouble.
Yeah, and I would say that's why it's very important that you speak up, and so that if bail is granted, because sometimes it is, and I know it's public outcry a lot of times, but for whatever reason it's granted, that there are specific conditions. And for example, say it's a alleged pedophile or something like that, they'll be like, can't come near a school, can't do this, can't. So it can be very specific, or need to report to police station at X amount every day. Can't go here, there, whatever. Can't leave the country. You mentioned passports. So the specifics of the bail will be there, and if you contravene it, you will be arrested.
Okay. So now we've unpacked the process of a rape case, all the way through to reporting and your support as a victim.
Yeah.
Then we come back to what we spoke about earlier, that the docket now goes to the investigator, and that whole process then follows.
Yes.
And eventually it comes into a court.
Yeah. And then the trial happens, and there's cross-examination, and there's X and there's Y, and then a verdict is given. So it's a long process. There's now no prescription in terms. A prescription is when you can't bring a matter to court anymore. So I speak under correction, but in rape cases it's been abolished. So even if a rape happened like 50 years ago, you can still like say, you know what, for whatever reason you're bringing it now. Obviously you need to prove it because it's beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So the prosecution must be able to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. But there's that also, because sometimes survivors come like years later where they get the courage, or through whatever situation things are triggered, blah blah blah, memories. So there's that, and then the process will flow from there.
Sure, that's. Yeah, what is the Bob Hewitt cases in point?
Yeah, the sports.
The tennis coach where people, this guy was almost 80, and then people came out and said, but he...
In the 70s, right?
Yeah, thereabouts. And, and I mean, it's like 20, 30, 40 years gone by since the alleged incident happened.
Or you'll see like at schools, for example, educator, and years later it comes out. Or the clergy, or the whatever, that it comes out years after fact. So there's that. But it's not a quick process. And you do need a lot of support, because remember, yes, they can have in-camera hearings, particularly if it's a child. And an in-camera is where it's in a closed door. So the kiddo will never see the perpetrator, right? The media, you can get gag orders for the media, but other times the media can report it, it's before the court. But for a child, there might be issues there to protect the identity. Or the defense might say, no, I don't want to report it, whatever. I don't want it reportable. But you essentially, as the survivor, have to sit and say your story and get cross-examined. And cross-examination is there to break your credibility, because every side has their right to their day in court, and the prosecution has that onerous burden of beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's difficult, it's long, but it's worth it, and particularly if you have the support, which I know there are a lot of organizations that do bring that support.
Because you need the counseling as a victim as a result of the trauma.
Completely, otherwise you're going to carry it forward.
100%.
No,
100%. Let's go 2 steps back. Coming back to this, it's a follow-up question on that charge of fraud and a warrant of arrest. So since there's a warrant of arrest, will you be arrested even if you go to the police station with your lawyer?
I can't say offhand, but there's a warrant of arrest, so yes. But what the lawyer does there is they might be able to speak to the prosecutor, they might be able to talk about it, but essentially there's warrant of arrest, so there's a very real possibility that yes, you will be arrested. And you need to find out why there's a warrant of arrest now. Like, that's the first port of call. Like, did you miss any correspondence? Like, what is the situation? Is it so dire? Like, I would have, call a lawyer ASAP.
Because this one's about an alleged fraud that you have committed.
Yeah, it's all alleged until you've proven guilty.
100%.
But like, you need to find out what's going on. Also, remember, say you get stopped at the roadblock, for example, and that warrant comes up. Like, you're going to get arrested.
Exactly.
Like, you're living on borrowed time. So please go get a lawyer.
ASAP, get it sorted.
ASAP, Rocky.
And just a bit of useless information. In my business, I have a displayed police clearance certificate.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Just because that's what I believe I need to do in my business. So for those who want to make sure that they have a clean record, do yourself a favor. It's going to cost you 350 Rand. No plug for the organization, but you literally go to Postnet.
And they do a check on you. So, for example, when we hire people, it's particularly lawyers, you need to be in good standing, right? But it's routine to run a police clearance.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be in good standing with the Law Society if I wasn't. And if you want to work with children, you also need a police clearance.
100%. Yeah. So, Postnet, you walk in, take your fingerprints, take a photo, copy of your ID, pay your 350. 2 days time, you get your clearance certificate in your inbox. Literally, that's simple.
And you just know that you
literally that's
good
simple.
To go. Yeah.
It's peace of mind.
No, yes, exactly.
So yeah, let's move on from that.
And that was not an ad.
that was not an ad. It's just a bit of use of good information.
No, it's good to do it.
So coming back to this listener's question. So if there is an issue, you can then pick it up. It will, if you didn't pick it up, and your case gets hurt. So what happens in a case? So here's the interesting thing. So what happens in a case if, as an example, this person doesn't appear in court and the case is heard? Can that happen?
Well, they'll get contempt of court. Do you know what I mean? They will put a bench warrant out for their arrest because they didn't appear in court, because it's contempt of court. They were called to come to court and they didn't appear.
But they won't hear the case until you come to court.
Usually, yes, they'll postpone it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can't do a trial in absentia because you're not there.
No, not. I speak in under correction, but not in criminal. So, for example, in lots of civil matters, they might order what's called a default order, and then you have like 10 days or something to dispute it, and it becomes the court order. And that's oftentimes, I know in maintenance matters, a lot of times it's used to get the person to come to court, because otherwise that default order will become what you have to pay until you refute it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because that was something I was unclear about, because now there's a warrant. Okay, and this person is obviously was unaware until now.
Yeah, that's like you need to see your paperwork. Like, why do you have a warrant? Like, you can't have been found guilty because otherwise you would have. I don't know. Like, you just need to go see a lawyer and go to the police station, please. Also, like, how did you find out that you had a warrant?
Yeah.
Like, if they came to your house, they would have arrested you. I don't know. Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. Also depends on what the returning address is. And who what is it called? This thing, the sheriff of the court.
Yeah,
they should have issued you. If a warrant of, my understanding is, a warrant of arrest has been issued, someone must have signed for it. What was the returning address for it to be signed?
And like that's I'm not understanding why you're not arrested if they know you and you found out about
exactly.
it. Like at the moment you found out about it, like, wow, you know. Okay, well, just
you're
going to stress me out here because I need to know.
Again, let me put it in context. When you ask a question, give us a little bit of info. Yeah, we will keep it anonymous.
Dude, you know now, so go find a lawyer.
Anyway, drop your questions on +2706924595543 on my personal Facebook or YouTube, and we'll try and work through the landmine that lands in front of us.
Yes, we'll unravel it.
So let's take another scenario. You and I are married. We have Mila. You and I don't see eye to eye. We separate. Now I say I'm going to pay you 1,000 rand maintenance a month, and you are sorry, what? 1,000 rand?
Mila's needs. Okay, but no shade. For some people, 1,000 rand, like, yeah, it's context specific, and that's the crux of the matter.
And that's where I want to get to. What happens in a maintenance dispute?
Okay, so maintenance can happen with your divorce decree, where you deal with it in a consent, but oftentimes not. You can go to the maintenance court. So we don't have a formula. Like places like Australia, whatever, will plug in your salary, whatever, and come up with a number.
Is it?
Yeah, we have more of like a discussion, look at situations, and then come to a consensus, if not go to trial. So you can then access the various maintenance courts, which are attached to the magistrates' courts, and like, for example, where you live or so forth, or where you work. And then what will happen is oftentimes the primary custodian of the child will then take the child and will deal with it from 0 to 18. 18, you do.
Stop for a second. Before we even get there.
Yeah.
What is the definition of a primary custodian?
So with whom the child resides, or as care, the person where the child stays most of the time.
Okay.
And, okay. So say Mila stays with me now, and I need maintenance, and you're saying, like 1,000 rand, and I'm like, it doesn't meet Mila's needs, or at least 50% of Mila's needs. So I would fill out what's called the first application form. You can get it at the court. It's also online. And what I would do is fill out all Mila's details, my details, your details. So guys, please have the ID number of your co-parent and know where they live or where they work. Oftentimes, I was a maintenance officer for 6 months, and there were times when people didn't they only knew the guy's name and nickname.
Oh my
God! That leaves a lot of problems. So know your co-parents.
Remind me of the song One Night in Bangkok. Sorry, guys.
No, guys, seriously, there's very little I could do with name and nickname. And the nickname was, anyway. So I go that, and I know your details, where you live, where you work, whatever. And then I would put what my income is and what the expenses are. And it would be, we'd work out what the child's portion is. So I would take 2 shares, and Millie would take 1 share. And that's how we'd work it out. But I put it all in there. Then I would take it to the maintenance court, and they would then issue whatever the documents are and say, have it delivered to that person. I always say that have it by registered mail or by sheriff or whatever. Bring the return of service there, and then a date is issued. They let them know when they need to come to court. Now, scenario 1 is you pitch, right? You're a diligent soul.
Before we get there, I have heard of many instances that when the sheriff needs a delivering address for whatever you want, however you legal people call it, a place where I need to deliver this summons. Right? Many people choose the what's the word that's opposite to you? Me, in this case. You're the applicant.
Oh yeah, the
what am I?
Plaintiff or the defendant or the respondent.
The respondent.
Yeah.
As a sign of malice. They'll give it to that. Tell the person go to that man's work to embarrass them.
Yeah,
you
should not do it. But say, for example, you don't know when the dude or the lady or whatever is going to be there, but you know that from this time to this time. It's scenario specific. I can neither confirm nor deny whether that is used. Okay.
And I know. But many cases, guys, particularly men, would get a summons at work for maintenance. It would be very embarrassing.
Imagine you work in HR.
No, I and the reason I know this because I worked in a factory.
Oh.
And I was the manager, and then reception would phone me and say, the sheriff of the court is here to issue a summons to
X.
Mark. I'm like, what for? It's maintenance.
Okay.
And I have got to walk to go fetch Mark and bring him to a room, to the boardroom, and say, Mark, come have a seat here. Here's someone who wants to meet you, wants to see you.
So yeah, it can be so wherever you can get hold of the person, right?
Okay, sorry, I digress.
So whether it's where they live or where they work, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Don't be malicious, but yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Just
Malicious.
like know that it's oftentimes the worst in that maintenance room where I was, right, all those years ago. The worst in humanity, and I always try and say, like, at some point there was a child that you created, so it's in the best interest of the child, and that's what the Maintenance Act is there to put the best interest of the child as per the Constitution and the Children's Act. Okay.
There was a spark once upon a time.
Yes.
At some point, however short.
long or short, and you got the name and whatever, right? Anyway, so the person pictures.
Yeah.
But they deny paternity.
Right.
Right. So the first thing is that you will then either postpone for paternity test. If you can't afford it, you can ask the court to pay, and the court can or can't or pay part of it, right? Then boom, the test comes back and you are Mila's dad now, right? Now we're there and you say to me, no, I can only afford, say to the maintenance officer who's legally trained, I can only afford 1,000 rand and this is my income and these are my expenses. I do the same. Either we come to a conclusion and we sign the order and it's amicable, the magistrate makes an order of court, or we don't. Or I say, you know what, like he's talking such nonsense. He works there, but he's got a side hustle. So he earns XY or in the region of XY. I can then ask for an investigator, maintenance investigator, to do the recon, look at all the credit bureaus, etc. Then they come with a report and that guides the process. Eventually, if we don't come to consensus, it will go to trial, and then a ruling will be made in terms of a maintenance trial and and you get specialist prosecutors that are maintenance prosecutors that deal with that. Right?
And this happens in a court. Is this also in a formalized court, or is it in a room like a mediation kind of process?
So the trial will be in a formal trial.
Okay.
And you will bring witnesses and so forth. So when it gets to that,
so it's like a real court case.
Thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Then say the person doesn't pitch, right? But you know where they are and they've been properly served. You can issue a default order in their absence because there's proof of service. And that will get them to court really quickly because the default order will essentially only take one party signed because they were warned they didn't come. And then they have about 10 days of speed under correction to refute that, and then the process will happen. Or you can issue a warrant of arrest, and they will then be arrested. And then brought, and the court date will flow, and so forth. Then there is also a situation whereby now you have the court order, right? But they're in default. You can't issue automatically what's called a garnishee order, and a garnishee order will be that deducted directly from your salary. So once again, it's sent to the HR or wherever it's deducted. So there was a constitutional court case, and the ruling was that it can't just be authorized by clerks of the court because it was misused. So there needs to be a magistrate that signs off from that, and the rationale for having a garnishee order will be that the person's continuously defaulting, right? Or they can issue criminal proceedings because you're now in default, or they would issue what's called arrear maintenance. So it's the arrear amount or percentage every month added to the maintenance. They can also attach property. They can attach your pension. Say, for example, you don't pay for Mila, but your parents are alive and they're able to afford it, right? They'll look at the income. So if your parents are just SASSA, then no, but say your parents can afford it, I can then say, I'm subpoenaing the grandparents.
Really?
Yes. Really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So guys, girls, no.
That is hectic.
It's hectic. Because like it's a vulnerable human, right? It's a child. And their best interests are paramount importance. But obviously know that, say, for example, your parents are pensioners, they just get a SASSA pension, they can't support it, blah, blah, blah. Then the chances are slim to none that but the hassle to get them to court and the embarrassment and humiliation, etc.,
gets me to pay to avoid that kind of.
Yeah,
in a way, it's kind of threatening.
It's like shame,
yeah.
Right? Then say somebody lives overseas. We'll look at this what's called a reciprocal maintenance agreement and see if we can just do it that way. We might have relationships in that way. Maintenance is also not static. You can apply for an increase and substantiate it or prove it. Also a decrease or a rescinding of the order, say for example, you're out of a job. But that can't be forever and a day. You then need to show that you're looking for work. Then when the child becomes an adult at 18, they need to bring a maintenance application in their own name against both parents. So maintenance is until 18 or self-supporting, and whichever occurs first. So self-supporting would be, whichever is more relevant, because obviously 18 might come before that. Say, for example, I'm studying. But you can't also be 35 and you're still studying and you're now wanting to pay maintenance. There was a court case like that.
Is it?
And the magistrate was like, no, dude, get a job. Like, you've been
So there's two things. One, in my years as a manager, garnishing orders was a real thing. Yeah. People just didn't pay maintenance and eventually, same process. Mark, I need to see you.
You're not paying your maintenance. Yes.
Number one. Number two, there was two people I remember particularly that had to take a morning off, or they had to swap the shift because we used to run 24-hour shifts. So you either work at a morning shift, or you work an afternoon shift. And guys, when they get paid at the end of the month, they had to swap shifts if they were morning, because they needed to go to court and physically pay the maintenance.
Yes, so there's different ways that you can pay the maintenance, right? It can be, you see, there's a way that I hate and there's ways that are okay. The way that I hate is cash in hand.
Yeah.
And cash in hand is all very well until you don't pay and you don't have a paper trail. So if you're going to choose cash in hand, don't choose it. But if you're going to choose it, get them to sign that receipt book.
100%.
Then you can pay it into a bank account. You can even do it into the child's bank account, for example. Or you can do it at the court. And that would entail going to court and actually pay anything. And that's also like a waste of time. But sometimes that's the only way.
100%. And then you have this kind of guy walking around.
Here, have $1. In fact, no, brother man, here, have $2. $2 means a snack for me, but it means a big deal to you. Be strong, serve God only. Know that if you do, beautiful heaven awaits. That's the poem I wrote for the first time. I saw a man with no clothes, no money, no play, Mr. Wayne. That's his name. No one ever knew his name, cause he's a no one. Never thought twice about spending on an old bum until I had the chance to really get to know one. Now that I know him, to give him money isn't charity. He gives me some knowledge, I buy him some shoes. And to think blacks spend all that money on big colleges, still most of y'all come out confused. Go ahead, Mr. Wayne. Go ahead, Mr. Wayne. Mr. Wendell has freedom, a free that you and I think is dumb. Free to be without the worries of quick to this society. For Mr. Wendell's a bum. His only words are sickness and an occasional harassment by the police in their chase. Uncivilized we call him, but I just saw him eat off the food we waste. Civilization, are we really civilized? Yes or no? Who are we to judge? When thousands of innocent men could be brutally enslaved or killed over a racist grudge. Mr. Wendell has tried to warn us about our ways, but we don't hear him talk. Is it his fault when we've gone too far and we got too far? Cause of him we walk. Mr. Wendell, a man, a human in flesh, but not by law. I bid you dignity to stand with pride. Realize that all in all, you stand tall. Go ahead, Mr. Wendell. Mr. Wendell, yeah. Mr. Wendell, yeah. Mr. Wendell. the window, yeah. Close the window.
This is Afrikaap Radio, playing the music 24/7 on your dial.
A wise man once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts." This is Walk to Wellness with Alton Davids, right here on Afrikaap Radio.
All right, if you've just tuned in, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon. My name is Alton. I am the host of Walk to Wellness, brought to you by All My Sports. And I have Natasha with us.
The last hour and a half.
The legal beagle that joins us once a month. We've just confirmed the 5th of November.
Remember the 5th.
Yes. That was Mr. Wendell by Arrested Development, because many people would say that after they pay maintenance, they must go look for $1 or $2.
No, guys, you must support your kids.
So here's a question for you. On the WhatsApp line, an anonymous person asked, if a dad never paid maintenance, my child is now 14 years old. He's self-employed. Can I go after him?
Yeah, well, you definitely can.
On what basis?
Because that is the parent.
Yeah.
There's a duty of support between a child and the parent, and there's a presumption that can only be rebutted by that paternity test, that person is the biological parent of that child, and therefore there exists a duty between them.
So as the result of it being my biological child, I have a duty, financial responsibility to support this child.
Yes.
Is that what the Constitution says, or is that what the law?
Well, it's the rights of in the Constitution, Section 28 says the rights of the child are of paramount importance.
Right.
Now, to be able to give it impetus, one of the ways is through maintenance, through looking, and there's that duty of support, right? And definitely you can. So what I would suggest that you do is you go and get that first application. They might look at like expenses of bygone years, but even if you're just applying from 14
forward to 18, when they become an adult, yeah,
they're not self-sufficient.
100%.
They have needs, and yes, definitely. And the fact that they self-employed doesn't mean that they mustn't show proof of what they earn. And also you can always ask for that maintenance investigation if you're not happy with, like, if they say they're only making like 500 and whatever, and then you say like, no dude, I know you're making more, and then there's a dispute or an impasse, and then you can.
But would you not be able to use as an investigator, maybe I'm just my brain works in different directions. When you pay your income tax, you've got to declare your annual
Yeah, so they'll look at all the credit
is that part of the
yeah,
investigation?
they have access to
Okay,
like,
sorry.
alles.
Sorry. I should have been.
So some of them like will do like that CSI vibes, they know to stalk and do it. Not stalk.
What do they call that thing? A lifestyle audit.
Lifestyle audit, yes. I want lots of people to do that. Anyway. So then they'll be able to give a more accurate with the portals. And also what I'm saying is this is something we didn't touch on. Like if you go and buy stuff for your kiddo in the informal market, like the fruit vendors or wherever, just take if they don't give you a receipt, just take a book with it they can sign, so that you must have as much evidence as possible as to like how much your kiddo needs in a month.
Nee, auntie. Ek gaan niks teken dat ek 2 piesangs langs die pad koop. I mean, really? Are you for real?
No, I always encourage people to have a shoebox and put absolutely everything in that shoebox. So like if you go and you buy fruit and they don't give you a thing, nothing stops them from writing the amount and signing it.
They're never going to do that. They don't have paper and pen.
You bring your own.
Most times the people can't even, they can barely write.
Just let them do an X, guys. Just have as much proof as you can. Like Alton is,
No, I'm being facetious, but...
Yeah, it's the truth. But my point of all of this is
you need to have an evidence. 100%.
Yeah.
I support you. I'm just being facetious for the sake of it. Yeah. So okay. So let's take another scenario. You and I are in a room together, and I force my way on you. What legal right do you have? What's your access to justice?
That you forced yourself on me.
Yes. And it's you and I alone in this room.
So then it's obviously going to be a he said, she said situation, but the process still applies. It's going to be proving it, speaking out about it, going to report it. You would also have a chance to rebut it, like in 100%. Any way, with your defense and so forth. But the process, like as much rights as you would have in any other situation. So even if it doesn't result in penetration in terms of rape, but it's forcing it in whichever way possible. Like, and there's different types of rape as well. Right? Yeah. But it's unlawful. There's no consent. I have a right to go and report it, and the process will follow from there. Also, just know, like we touched on a few sessions before this, that if you can, because the opposite can also happen. I can say that like you forced yourself on me and you didn't, right?
To be malicious.
Yeah, it can go both ways.
100%.
So don't find yourself alone in a room with someone, particularly in a situation. For example, you a sports. I know you said your door's always open.
100%.
Like you're an educator, your door's always open. Like don't just think it's okay to be able to touch someone or to rub their shoulder. It's all about like boundaries and consent and personal space. But to answer your question, I would have recourse to go and report it because I never gave consent to that.
Okay, good on. Just because I've had a conversation like that this week.
Oh wow.
Hence I'm asking that question.
Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation, but that's privy information.
It's never okay if there's no consent. Like, it's never okay.
Let's take another, we've got 20 minutes. Give us another scenario of how I can access justice as a individual in a different way. We've spoken about the rape scenario. We've spoken about the child scenario. We've spoken about non-consensual contact. Let's look at it we've spoken about from a financial perspective in terms of the small claims court. What other ways is there? What other options are there for me if anything happens to me?
So say, for example, somebody infringes your dignity and they have like hate speech. Or they say that something that affects your
character.
Your character. So say that could be defamation. But in terms of 9.3, which is the equality section in the Constitution, and PAPUDA, which is a shortening for a long act, would say there's certain listed grounds. So say they say something about your religion or your race or your culture or whatever, right? But there might be other grounds. We have what's called the Equality Court, and that is attached to a magistrate's court, but it's severely underutilized. You can go to the court and say, you know what, Alton called me some derogatory name, right? And I feel that this is against the Constitution, the Equality Act, and then what you would do is you would actually complete a form They would call the other party, and you oftentimes see it in these big cases, like the political party saying they did X, Y,
Yes.
and then you might have the South African Human Rights Commission get involved, and that can also be a way that you can access your rights, particularly your dignity. Then if you feel that a government institution didn't service you well or whatever, right, you can go to the public protector. That's oftentimes in the news as well, and they have investigators that will investigate it, but it has to be against a state agency. So it could be the court, it could be whatever, and you can access justice in that way. If we had a kiddo, we could access the family advocate and look at a parenting plan, which is kind of like a guide to how we would run Mila's life. And that's done in a very inclusive way, and it would be signed. It can be made in order of court. It can just be endorsed by the family advocate, but it bears weight, and it takes a lot of pressure on how the child's life is run. It can also, like sometimes you'll say in every 5 years, it can be, depending on the age of the child. And it creates a positive co-parenting space. So that's another way. And the family advocate is free as well. All of these services are free. There's various ones.
So let's go back to being an adult. And we touched on it briefly, not tonight, but in one of our previous shows. When someone gets divorced, there are different types of divorces, and we've spoken about. You and I now decide we're going to separate. What is my recourse if I'm asking for the divorce? What is the process? Because often people don't understand the two different levels of divorce.
So we separate. Now, there's no fault in divorce anymore, right? So it's just because the marriage is broken down irretrievably and there's no prospect of reconciliation. So what you can do is you can access the magistrate's court, or there's a family law division, and you would then go and speak to the clerk of the court, and they would help you fill out the summons and particulars of claim. And if there's a child, what's called an Annexure A, which just deals briefly with the child's life. But if there's a child, the magistrate will ask oftentimes what's happening with the kiddo, and it's important that you have that information. And you would then serve it. You would fill it out, make sure everything is A for away. They would stamp it. You would then take it to the sheriff. They would serve it on the other party. You'd pay the sheriff a fee. I don't know how much. It depends on the area. You would get the proof of service, so you follow up with the sheriff. You take it back. They would then issue the court date, and you would appear. So you then, if you divorcing me, right? So you the plaintiff. I would then have 10 days to defend it. And defending is essentially like, I'm not okay with this clause of the particulars of claim. I want half your pension. You don't want to give me that, the house situation. Or it can be uncontested, where it just goes, or you can be amicable and do a consent. And then you attach everything, and then it flows quicker.
Along with the parenting plan.
Yeah.
If you have a child.
If you have a child, yes. Oftentimes the consent will deal with the things to do with the child. So a standard ordinary consent will say the primary residence of Mila is with the defendant, because I'm the defendant. However, the plaintiff has access on such and such and such time. From that time, the maintenance is this. It's going to increase. They're going to be responsible for this, this, and this. An important clause will be that you can't remove the kiddo from the country without, well, you can't according to the law anyway. You need the other party to sign. So then that's the easy way. But we know that divorce is oftentimes acrimonious. So you don't need a lawyer, right? Like literally you can just do it yourself. But oftentimes, particularly if it becomes if it becomes really acrimonious, it's good to get legal counsel. So that you can do. And like I said, there's no fault.
And then it doesn't. So then it moves from a DIY, which would be in a Southern Divorce Court if it's in the South. Then it would move it into a magistrate's court.
So the Southern Divorce Court is a magistrate's level. You can also have a lawyer in the magistrate's court, or you can go for a high profile in the High Court if it's particularly like lots of assets, etc., etc. Just remember, when you get into the High Court, you oftentimes going to have your divorce attorney and pay the advocate.
Sure.
So it's like loads of money. Or you can just do it in the magistrate's court, and then it's not practical, but if you can get a lot of things ironed out, it's simpler. But that's obviously a utopia.
And it saves you tons of money.
It does save you tons of
and the court roll maybe a little. I don't know. The court roll will be shorter.
No, if it's unopposed, obviously you're not going to have to go to it's not going to be like an opposed roll, so you'll get it quicker because everything's sorted out. Nobody's opposing it. Good to go. They can issue the divorce decree. And obviously, if you're married out of community of property, you will also attach your antenuptial.
That's another conundrum. Yeah. But in order to get there,
you need to get married.
Yeah, that's the first challenge.
The first step.
The first step.
And then not get divorced, but yeah, we're just talking about the worst case scenario. We're not going to say that.
Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy, beneath no sympathy, because I'm easy come, easy go, little high, little low. Anywhere the wind blows doesn't really matter to me. To me. Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away. Mama, didn't mean to make you cry. If I'm not back again this time tomorrow, carry on, carry on. Doesn't really matter.
Look at me now. Beautiful. Pay 15,000 rand. All expenses paid.
My time has come. Sent shivers down my spine. Body's aching all the time. Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go. Gotta leave you all behind and face. Mama. I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening me. I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family, sparing his life from this monstrosity. Easy come, easy go, will you let me go? Bismillah, no, we will not let you go, let it go. Bismillah, we will not let you go, let it go. Bismillah, let me go, let me go, never, never let me go. Oh, mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub has the devil put aside for me, for me. For me. Anyone can see nothing really matters. Nothing really matters to me. Anyway, the wind blows.
This is Afrikaap Radio, playing the music 24/7 on your dial.
A wise man once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts." This is Walk to Wellness with Alton Davids, right here on Afrikaap Radio.
All right, if you've just tuned in, good morning, good evening, and almost goodbye. My name is Alton. This is Walk to Wellness, brought to you by All My Sports SA. I'm joined in studio, live in our Cape Town studio with Natasha Wachit, and we are coming to the epilogue, Natasha.
Sure, that's a big word.
You know, when I was growing up,
Yeah.
there used to be this TV. Then they have a movie, and it's finished, and you see this big round thing. They call it the epilogue with the clock on the TV. Because the TV never used to play 24 hours. It used to be called the epilogue. So between 12 o'clock until 6 o'clock, there was no TV.
Oh, wow.
Yeah!
Oh, sure.
It was called the epilogue.
And then 6 o'clock it would be like.
Boom! Then you got Good Morning Cape Town with that dancing people. Hit the perfect beat, boy. Yeah. Just Google it. Body beat.
Body beat.
They had, what do they call it? Leg warmers and a bandana.
I can actually see it in my mind's eye because I've seen memes. Yeah.
Let's focus back on the task of that.
Rather.
So if you've just tuned in, Natasha and I had a conversation around how one would access justice in South Africa using various different scenarios and the principles around a free and fair society to a degree.
Yeah.
Within reason.
Within reason.
What's often written in the legislators' books is not what is practiced.
And the implementation.
100%.
Yeah, is the issue.
It's the same as I would say apartheid's off the books, but it's not off the hearts.
Yeah, and also spatial apartheid
100%.
is completely there.
But we're not going to get into that.
But we're not going to get into that.
Because we can sit in another 3
I
hours.
can talk for like forever about my bad beds.
Yes.
That.
Okay. So in summary, Natasha, do you want to round up and just give us a helicopter view of firstly, the justice system as a whole, if people have just tuned in, and then how simple it is to access the system, and then in terms of what I can do as Pit Pompis to access the system.
Okay. So
You can start in any direction. Those are the 3 pillars in my head based on what we've discussed, is what I think people need to understand.
So the justice system can seem very complicated, and I'm not saying it's not. It's made up of various courts. But if you go onto the DOJ, the Department of Justice website, they have a lot of information, but I'm not saying everybody has access to that. However, you can go to your nearest court or your nearest police station, and there's lots of information pamphlets that's available there. I think the first portal is, for example, you'd need to decide which part of the law you're in, if you're civil or criminal. If you're a victim of a crime, the first thing you do is go and report it. If you're not happy with the service, know that you can complain, know that you can access the public protector. There's all of these types of bodies, right? If in civil, just know that there's, for example, depending on the nature of the claim and the amount, there are various things that you can do, like small claims court or whatever. If it's to do with family, a good place, I like the Southern Divorce Court, because even if you're not in that jurisdiction, everything's kind of like in the same vicinity. So you'll have domestic violence, all of that stuff. So they're a good portal to be able to know what's where. But know that if you go to the magistrate's court, they'll have like usually a family like unit of it. And you can go to the family advocate. You can go and get maintenance. You can go get help with your divorce. So there's different ways to be able to access it. But if you are not sure and you have access to the internet, use that, or use your local library. I think libraries are a great source of information and often underutilized to get that information. And I would first plug in the Department of Justice, and they'll be able to give you a lot of information there. And then come to various offices, like there's the Legal Aid Office, there's the ENS Pro Bono Office. There's various portals that can assist you with the information. But what I want to reiterate is don't stay quiet and don't access your rights. Not everybody knows everything. Nobody knows everything. And the first port, I know I've no minutes, is to ask. And if you're not happy, know that there's a way to get help.
And help is not just in terms of going to a police station. There are other means to get help as well.
Yes, and say, for example, like you just wanted information. Nothing stops you from walking into, I'm just using because I work at ENS, the Pro Bono office there, or something of the sort. There's also lots of community advice offices that are 100%. Staffed. Yeah.
Natasha, it's been a steep learning curve for me. This is in your immediate wheelhouse, as they say.
Yes.
And way out of my comfort zone.
But you handled it like a pro.
Because I have a little bit of background.
Yes, and lived experiences.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Again, if you're engaging in a legal service with a lawyer, Natasha's warning and my warning, get an appraised cost of what it will be. Please. Because they will charge you for every single phone call, every email. In the old days when we were busy with a big litigation case, as a board member, you'd see on there fax. Because in those days they used to send a fax.
Oh, and the facsimile.
And they charge you for the piece of paper. They charge you to type it. All of those kinds of things.
Yes, because it's So
it's
just
time. So know that they charge you for every single thing. If you're phoning them for something, they will charge you for it. Even now, 2 years ago, I saw that they even bill for WhatsApp messages.
Yeah, because it's correspondent.
100%.
Yeah.
So make sure that you are well appraised of all the information and get an estimated cost of what it may or may not be. Thank you, my dear. It was lovely.
See you next time. We don't have a topic yet, but we will.
We will have a topic for the 5th of November. Until then, stay tuned to Afrikaap. They are amazing shows, awesome presenters, and this song is the reason why we do this.
No way.
wise man once said, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. This is Walk to Wellness with Alton Davids, right here on Afrikaap Radio.
This is Afrikaap Radio, playing the music 24/7 on your dial.
Thank you, everybody. Ciao.